Welcome to the Solid Verbal.
The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name is Ty Hildenbrandt, joining me, as always, over there in beautiful, wintry New York City. My man, Dan Rubenstein. Sir, how are you?
Ty, as of today, I am doing a lot better than I was a couple days ago.
Yeah?
This is true. And you mentioned the word wintry.
I did, yeah.
And that's a key word here. By the way, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Glad
it's good to be
have you.
back.
It's strange not to have a robust list of games to preview.
I feel light. I feel free. I feel liberated from the burden of the season. A great season. You know, we love college football on this show. That's what we do. But gosh, it feels good to have a slate of, 2 games before us here today, as opposed to the normal 2-3 dozen that we discuss on a weekly basis.
Well, that's all relative because I already feel the disrespect towards the Weber State Wildcats. But
sure.
Okay. And obviously you think it's a wonderful season because your team went undefeated.
Well, that
and is going to the playoffs.
Has me a bit biased, but sure.
Sure. So on our Sunday show, we did mention the possibility. We were tweeted by the gentleman Kevin Brown, who is calling the North Dakota State Colgate FCS playoff game.
Not the former Dodgers pitcher, correct?
To our knowledge.
Right.
So he tweeted us that he wanted us to come out to Fargo to do some particularly sensuous sideline reporting. And we sort of laughed it off as, well, there's no way ESPN can afford Ty and Dan.
And then we texted each other on the sly.
Yeah.
Wondering, was he serious about that invitation? Maybe should we consider this?
So we know that when we knew that, obviously, we're not going to be doing sideline reporting. This is not a fantasy camp. This is an actual big college football game.
Correct.
And that he is a listener. He enjoys the show. He enjoys our appreciation of the Patriot League and the Colgate Raiders. But then we said to ourselves, you know what? We could probably have some fun in Fargo.
Yeah, buddy.
And then we looked up prices to get to Minneapolis and then get to Fargo and stay in Fargo. And we said to ourselves, we've got $80. We don't have much. We got it, it's as you might be shocked to learn, it does not cost all that much money to get to a wintry place in the winter that's not necessarily a ski destination. So wouldn't you know it, Ty? We are going to Fargo.
We are going to Fargo. We got the music here.
Oh, Ty. I could not be more excited. And I will explain that sometimes we have dipped into being tongue-in-cheek about the Patriot League and FCS football. I'm 100% earnest about my excitement about going to Fargo, watching Colgate, North Dakota State, going to the FARGODOME, Ty.
I am fired up that there is a place on Earth that exists and is named the FARGODOME.
Hell yeah.
What a great name for a dome in Fargo. Yeah. I believe they spell it with all caps, the FARGODOME, because they're yelling it. It's a great venue for a football game. North Dakota State. Well, we'll talk about North Dakota State and Colgate here a little bit, but obviously a historic program. It's the biggest show in town. It's going to be this Saturday, high noon, ESPN. Colgate coming to town. The Solid Verbal coming to town. Yeah, we're fired up. You're damn right we're fired up for this.
We're extremely excited. So we're flying out of the Northeast pretty early Friday morning. We're going to get to Fargo by hopefully the afternoon at some point. We're going to enjoy all that Fargo has to offer. If anybody has any Fargo recommendations for Saturday night or for Friday night, please let us know. We're going to be up early. If anybody knows anybody tailgating in 14-degree weather on Saturday morning, by all means, connect us. We'd love to speak to your tailgating pals. And then we're going to go to the game. We're going to enjoy the game. Hopefully some great back and forth football. I think we're going to head back to Minneapolis after the game, which is also a way to say, hey, if you're in Minneapolis and you want to meet us for deviled eggs or Juicy Lucy's or whatever it is that we should be doing on Saturday night, a cold Saturday night in Minneapolis, tell us where. We're down. We want to do an impromptu Verbicon in Minneapolis Saturday night. So
this will not be a live show.
No, it's not a live show.
This will not be a live
It is
show.
a live
This is like
clinking of glasses.
a meetup.
Yes, definitely a meetup. We're not performing. We're not doing a Q&A. We will take pictures with your significant others.
Sure.
Man, woman, whoever. So that's it. We are beyond excited. We are also going to be documenting all of it. So if you are interested in our travels, we are going to be shooting video. We are going to be doing stuff for our friends at Sports Illustrated on their social channels about the sort of underrated pilgrimage to Fargo, North Dakota as a college football pilgrimage. So it will be documented in audio form on this show along the way, in video form, social media, whatever. We will give you more information on, I guess, Twitter and Instagram, but it will be, we are doing this nose to tail. You're getting every little bit out of our travel animal on this one.
I can only speak for myself. This may be the most random sporting venture I've ever embarked upon.
I'm excited. I am, and I really hope Colgate comes, because we'll get to the game itself, but I believe at last check, the Bison are 25.5 point favorites.
It initially opened up at 26.5. At one point, I think the sharp money, I have to assume the sharp money was all in on Colgate. The line dropped to 21 points. They're looking at that historic defense. They're seeing what the rest of the world is seeing. 26.5 is a lot of points.
Many points.
It's a lot of points in a game of this magnitude, knowing that really Colgate's a historic side. Then I think the public saw that it went down to 21, and they threw more of that dumb money on NDSU, and now it's bubbled back up to 24.5. I have on my sheet, might be 25.5, depending on the book. But nonetheless, it's a steep hill to climb if you are the Colgate Raiders. But we're going to be there side by side. We're actually we're gonna shepherd this whole Patriot League lightning round through into potentially the FCS semifinals.
Do you know what I like about us? And I like it unapologetically. There have been, since we last recorded, there have been approximately 37 huge college football stories. And we led off with us going to North Dakota. And I have no shame in doing that because we have plenty of time.
We can do what we want. It's all right.
That's true.
As Dan said, we're going to Fargo. We're going to Minneapolis. Hit us up. We're at solidverbal@gmail.com if you want to send us an email. If you want to reach out publicly, Lord knows we're all over the place, but you can find us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. There's a subreddit. I don't know if we got any Fargoans.
Fargonians.
If you're out there on the subreddit, reddit.com/r/solidverbal, look us up. Give us a holler.
And we'll tweet
be
and Graham where the meetup is Saturday night. So pay attention to twitter.com/solidverbal, instagram.com/solidverbal. And follow us.
With all that being said, Dan.
Yeah.
We have breaking news that isn't about us going to Fargo, North Dakota.
Boop, 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 boop.
Urban Meyer has retired.
I'm
a poet and didn't even know it. Ryan Day has been named head football coach at Ohio State.
Yeah.
As you know, he spent 6 seasons, I believe, with your boy Charles Chip Kelly, excuse me.
Charles Chip Kelly.
Coached the team earlier this year when Urban Meyer was suspended for the first couple games. He's clearly got his work cut out for him on the defensive side of the ball, but Ryan Day is a name that didn't just pop up in Ohio State circles, but he was much sought after. He's viewed as a very bright offensive mind in college football. So I think just based on the small sample size we have of what he did with Ohio State earlier in the year, Buckeye fans should feel pretty okay about the state of affairs. That being said, Urban Meyer is a legendary with a capital L college football coach. Love him, hate him, the guy knew how to win. And in any case, I don't care who you're replacing him with, you lose Urban Meyer. If you're a fan, you have to worry at least a little bit, no matter how much momentum you have, that the program could potentially take a step back.
For sure. That is 100% reasonable. Urban Meyer is a complete all-timer in terms of success that he's had on the field in assembling huge programs. Certainly has made waves off the field for less than ideal reasons. That's the nicest way I can put it.
Now, that was good. It's very diplomatic, Dan.
Thank you very much. But he has stepped down for what he has clearly stated to be 100% health reasons, going back to him dealing with a cyst in his brain. And we saw the reactions on the sideline, him looking very pained and not seeming long for Columbus and very stressful way of living that is college football coaching at a major place. You know, when everything was happening at the beginning of the season, we talked about wondering if this was it felt like the beginning of the end for Urban Meyer. That this was not somebody who was going to be like Nick Saban coaching, you know, pushing until he was 70, something like that. Just the health issues he dealt with at Florida, the health issues he dealt with this year at Ohio State. It's almost impossible to replicate. No matter the clear advantages that Ohio State has, you know, he pretty much, if not for Nick Saban, would be somebody that stood alone in college football, just in terms of the consistency, recruiting, and winning year over year. And what Ryan Day has in front of him is the opportunity to keep it going, but that's so tough in that division with Penn State and Michigan, two teams that they've dealt really well with, but they've dealt well with an all-time coach. And there is going to be an adjustment period. He might still go 10-2, 11-1 every year, but that might not be enough every year.
No.
You know, he will be able to hire essentially any assistants he wants to Ohio State. And I saw that they were keeping on some staff, strength coach types, administrative types, recruiting types. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with Alex Grinch, who was great defensive coordinator at Washington State, came over and has been a co-defensive coordinator, thought to be somebody who would eventually step in to a main defensive coordinator role. The offense, certainly with Ryan Day, was gangbusters. The development of Dwayne Haskins was incredible. So I think it's a good move. You know, a lot of times when we see these really top-level coaches, a lot of the times it's them coming in as a younger, up-and-coming coach who comes into his own when given that full responsibility. And it appears that Ohio State should miss very little immediately steps because of the talent on hand. I'm exceedingly curious to see what the Buckeyes look like in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a bit of inertia when a great coach leaves who has the program in a really good state of affairs, like Meyer does with Ohio State. So it'll be probably 2-3 years out until we find out the full effect of Ryan Day versus Urban Meyer. But nonetheless, a huge news story broke earlier this week. We wish Coach Meyer well with his health issues and certainly whatever he decides to do next. And we wish Ohio State fans and Ryan Day all the best. This will be hopefully for them an exciting new chapter, and very curious to see what he can do. Obviously, as I mentioned, he's got his work cut out for him on defense, needs to figure something out on that front. My guess is that we'll find out more as the off-season progresses. But shout
out to the Manchester, New Hampshire Mafia, by the way.
Yeah.
Ryan Day, Dan Mullen, Chip Kelly, 3 major college football coaches, all from Manchester, New Hampshire. And I did see this. I think it was Pete Thamel from Yahoo. You know who else is from Manchester, New Hampshire specifically? Seth Meyers, Sarah Silverman, and Adam Sandler.
Damn. Okay.
I don't know what's happening in like the 5th grade.
Something in
that
the
is
water.
molding young minds.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ryan Day is very highly thought of in the coaching world as both a mind and as a sort of human presence. So cool to see. Hope it works out for the betterment of college football.
All right. Speaking of bright, young, sought-after college football minds,
Mac Brown.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
Cliff Kingsbury, as you know, lost his head coaching gig at Texas Tech. For a lot of guys, that's like an existential crisis. You know, it affects your identity as a coach. Where are you going to go next? Clearly, like anyone else who loses a job, it's a big deal. What are you going to do next for gainful employment? That was not the issue for Cliff Kingsbury. For whatever reason, and I think they're pretty obvious, but Cliffy was never going to have any difficulty finding another gig, whether it was in college, whether it was in the NFL. Sounds like he had a lot of options on the table. He opted for the offensive coordinator job at the University of Southern California, Dan.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, I think it was on Twitter, if USC's offense is incredible, but they lose winnable games, he looks great. Maybe he's an interim coach if Clay Helton takes the fall and just sort of works his way in there. Like, did maybe USC hire Clay Helton's replacement? TBD. If USC is amazing and they win their winnable games and their offense has a huge turnaround, because that was the issue this year. Defensively, USC was in a pretty good place, even dealing with the injuries that they had to deal with. It was offensively not being able to run the ball for long stretches. And listen. If you're worried about not running the ball well, Don't have to worry about Cliff Kingsbury because he's not even going to try.
Nope, doesn't care.
Not even going to try. So I tweeted out the Debonair raid, but somebody one-upped me for sure and said the Bel Air raid,
that's
which
good.
I liked a lot.
I like that.
So I think this is hugely good news for USC's offensive skill players, namely JT Daniels. The Pac-12 South is still very much in an embryonic state in terms of challengers. You know, the Arizona State, the Colorado, UCLA defenses, not particularly worrisome right now.
No,
so
right.
A good situation for Cliff Kingsbury. I'm excited for him to wake up in 2 weeks and not know where he is and then see the Pacific Ocean and say, oh yeah, I'm here.
That's the good stuff. Okay.
The good stuff.
Cliff Kingsbury signs on to lend his offensive.
Had an offer from the Rams, apparently, as like an offensive consultant for the rest of the season.
I saw that. Yeah. He's going to lend his offensive prowess to USC in 2019.
Seems like a big win.
Yes. Bill Snyder has retired. This is sort of an open secret. Bill Snyder has clearly given a lot to the Kansas State football program. The stadium is named after him, which is always a nice little feather in the cap. But K-State now in a situation where they're looking to go, it sounds like in a different direction, Dan, than Bill Snyder, maybe modernize the offense a bit. What names have we been hearing?
Seen Seth Luttrell, Jim Leavitt. I mean, they're sort of all over the place. Obviously, they're going to be relatively younger. Jim Leavitt, not the youngest. I think he's in his 50s, but Seth Luttrell, somebody that has shown himself to be a very good offensive mind and leading the offenses at North Carolina, Arizona. If you remember way back when he was involved with Nick Foles in a losing effort. And has done a terrific job with North Texas, both offensively and defensively. His hires, his development. Mason Fine has done a terrific job in turning the Mean Green into a contender there. So that's another name. I don't have the latest in front of me because honestly, you see leading candidates and it doesn't actually mean anything.
No.
So curious to see who that hire is as the Big 12 undergoes a couple of pretty major changes there.
Mike Locksley is the new head football coach at Maryland. Of course, his services are well noted, given what he's done at Alabama, leading the offense this season. I like this move a lot. Mike Locksley is a bit of a controversial figure in the world of college football. But
why do you like this move?
He's familiar with the area.
Sure. I think that's overrated, but okay.
Yeah?
I do. You can hire good recruiting assistants. You got to hire the best head coach. I believe his record as a head coach is 3-31. Is that what it is?
With New Mexico.
Yeah. Okay. I'm curious because it was horrendous at New Mexico, and he had all the advantages and did a really good job with them at Alabama. Won't have those advantages at Maryland.
I like the fact that he's familiar with the area first and foremost. I believe he went to Towson. I think he's from Washington, D.C. He's had a couple stints with the Maryland program here over the course of the last 2 decades. I think that's helpful. I don't think you necessarily need to get your guy. It doesn't have to be a Maryland guy, but it helps to have some familiarity with the area. I think Maryland's got a lot of skill talent on offense. We talked about it a lot this year. If things had congealed a little bit more,
sure,
and there weren't quite as many controversial things going on behind the scenes, Maryland might have been in a better state of affairs come, December the 5th. But nonetheless, I don't think Maryland as a program is in a bad spot talent-wise. And Locksley, I think, at Alabama has proven that he can at least assemble the parts in a way that can be pretty effective. Now, keep in mind, it's an embarrassment of riches at Alabama. So it may not exactly be a one-to-one translation coming up north to Maryland, but the way that he has assembled these parts has been far and away better than most of his predecessors, pretty much all of his predecessors, as it goes on the offensive side of the football at Alabama. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I think familiarity helps. I think the offense it can load up pretty quickly under his tutelage in College Park.
Yeah, I'm skeptical. Okay. I'm especially skeptical given the volatility of his time at New Mexico and going to a program that needs nothing but stability.
Okay.
That's
Fair enough.
Next
topic. We've got another head coaching hire. This one, my guess is you're going to be pretty excited about. Scott Satterfield
Yeah.
has been officially hired at Louisville. Of course, they went after Jeff Brom, who decided to stay at Purdue. Scott Satterfield was at App State, did a very admirable job. He led the transition as App State moved from a powerhouse at the FCS level up into the FBS, the Football Bowl subdivision. They've done remarkable things as an FBS school. Lord knows they've challenged some of the better teams in college football. Most recently, Penn State at the start of the season, in the season 2018. Scott Satterfield is a hire that I think deserves an A grade. Of all these hires that I see here, Ryan Day could be a sure thing, but we're going to have to wait and see. Cliff Kingsbury, we know, will help the offense, but that's only one side of the ball. You're skeptical on Mike Loxley. We don't know who's going to be hired at K-State, but Scott Satterfield feels, by all accounts, to be as close to a sure thing as you're going to get this coaching carousel season.
I especially like when a coach is hired, and you don't have to have head coaching experience, but I like when a head coach is hired and you can accurately say, he has nothing left to prove at that school or on that specific level or in that conference. He's at least tied for first in the Sun Belt these past 3 years. That's incredible. Just in making that leap from a lower level to they were in what I think the SoCon to go to the Sun Belt and then just have essentially nothing but success. And they even had a winning record. I think they were 5-1, 6-2, or something like that their first season in the Sun Belt. So an incredible job. I am especially convinced he will do a good job because he's somebody that does bring that stability. He was an App State lifer, waited till the right moment, and Louisville is a place that it's going to take a turnarout with how that program was left. So I like it a lot.
I think it's a really, really good move for them. Good on Louisville to hire a guy who, quite frankly, should have been looked at for some other positions. For the Louisville job. But
I think North Carolina is going to be sorry they passed him up.
I happen to agree. Okay, we mentioned the Matt Wells thing. Not a lot else going on in the way of big-time hires. I saw Jim McElwain weirdly took the Central Michigan job, which kind of caught a lot of folks by surprise. I guess the main thing that I'm watching at this point is Lincoln Riley needs a new defensive coordinator. Yeah. Now, obviously, they've got the playoffs, and they're gonna deal with that first. But it seems like that pursuit is sort of ongoing. There are some names that have surfaced, whether it's a name from Alabama, whether it's Alex Grinch I've seen thrown into that ring as well. We're gonna have to wait a while to get some conclusion on that matter, but just something to keep in the back of your mind as a big time school looking to make a big time upgrade on the defensive side of the ball after getting rid of Mike Stoops.
We mentioned this as basically all but done, and it became official, but Mel Tucker is the head coach of Colorado now.
Yep, I like that hire.
And man, I really, really am rooting for it. And he has spent time in a lot of different places, Alabama, Georgia. I think he went to Wisconsin and has spent time in the NFL. So he's been all around. I think the right guy at Colorado can do a lot of damage. And you recruit strategically in California and Texas. You target those, higher end 3-stars with 4-star potential. And I really hope he's the guy. I really do, because we saw a little taste of that a couple years ago with Mike McIntyre and Jim Leavitt when they were at Colorado running that really nice defense with Seifo Lufau running the offense.
Sure.
I am really hopeful. That's all. I don't know if I'm confident, but I am hopeful because I think he's super well liked and well regarded.
That is all I have on the news front, Dan.
I've got some, just like notes quickly. Chip Lindsey is out at Auburn, in at Kansas as offensive coordinator.
Did that surprise you?
No, I think he was forced out at Auburn. A lot of times, or it was mutual that let's just go our separate ways. When you see that downgrade.
But I think people out there might be listening and saying, wow, that was the offensive coordinator at Auburn? He was at Auburn? He was going to Kansas? Why?
Isn't this sort of what happened when Rhett Lashley went from Auburn to UConn? Yeah. It's just, there's just a certain way things happen. Okay. They give you the dignity of doing it your way, I guess.
Sure.
Sterling Gilbert, who you remember, formerly Tulsa, formerly Texas, formerly now USF offensive coordinator. He goes to McNeese State. We talked about James Madison coach Mike Houston taking the Charlotte job. Not so fast.
Did I see they withdrew their offer?
they withdrew their offer. He started showing interest in ECU, maybe interest in App State if that were to come open, but he has agreed to become the head coach at ECU, it has been reported, which meant that there was an opening at Charlotte. Will Healy, who did a great job at Austin Peay outside of Nashville, he goes to Charlotte, a place that I think has some pretty decent upside considering the talent in the area and in state. Hugh Freeze is in demand.
Okay.
Which is something. Okay. Great. I mean, good offensive mind, some questionable decision-making off the field. But he apparently spoke to Tennessee. Alabama may be a possibility with their open position. We know about the way that, Nick Saban has laundered careers in Tuscaloosa. Florida State, I think it said that I saw it reported that Willie Taggart had a conversation with him because his coordinator from this year, Walt Bell, is now the head coach at UMass.
UMass, yep.
Also some word about Liberty because Turner Gill retired. And boy, wouldn't that be something? Liberty hiring Hugh Freeze. Otherwise, I saw Bob Stitt, our old friend from the Colorado School of Mines and Montana. He is going to be the offensive coordinator at Texas State, who just hired Jake Spavital as their head coach. So a lot of action around the coaching circles, and it will still continue, and it'll heat up once again after the second signing day when coaches are done signing classes and ready to move on.
All right. Well, keep your ears and eyes peeled. Certainly out there on the web, but clearly here on the Solid Verbal. We'll do our best to keep you abreast of all the latest news on the coaching front and elsewhere. Before we move on and pick a couple games, talk about a few other odds and ends here in the back half of the show, wanted to remind you about our good friends over at Robinhood, Dan.
Okay.
Robinhood, as we've said time and again, is an investing app. It allows you to buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptos, all commission-free. Don't got to worry about the commission, which I like personally. Even if you are a stock market newcomer, you can invest for the first time with true confidence. Other brokerages, we talked about this, they can charge you up to like $10 a trade. Robinhood, they don't do that. They don't charge commission. You can trade the stocks. You can keep all of your profits. They've got a clear, easy to understand design, as well as charts and market data that can help you make informed decisions. They let you place a trade on your smartphone. You can do it in 4 taps. 4 taps, I counted. Or if you're on the web, you can view a stock collection, like the 100 most popular, as well as sectors like entertainment, social media, more curated categories like, I don't know, female CEOs, something like everything can be segmented here. They do a really good job of it at Robinhood. Plus, you can discover new stocks, track your favorite companies with a personalized newsfeed, or get custom notifications with price movements. I've used the app. It's a very cool app. It's easy to understand. I would encourage everyone who's interested to at least kick the tires on it, see what they're all about. They are giving you a free stock, like Apple or Ford or Sprint, to help you build your portfolio. All you need to do is sign up at solid.robinhood.com. That is solid, SOLID.robinhood.com. Also, Daniel, need to shout out our buddies over at GOAT.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, buddy. If you're buying sneakers online, and Dan, I know you want to buy sneakers online. I know you well.
Jody with an I does not like me doing this. We have a 1 in, 1 out policy that's about to go into effect. And when I'm done with GOAT, there might be many out.
There is a solid chance that the shoe you're craving that you want to buy online, it might be a fake.
Wow.
It might be a fake. Let me tell you about the time I bought fake tickets at a Penn State, Ohio State game. I guess they weren't fake, but they were counterfeited. And they scan it, and you're all excited to go in the game, and then you just hear this unholy chime, followed by a bunch of security guards looking at you like you stole trade secrets.
Oh.
It was not fun. Don't put that experience on your feet, Dan. Just don't
never, ever.
Don't put that experience on your feet. As you've said time and again, you're only as comfortable as your feet. And if you want to be really comfortable and really cool kicks, you better make sure that you're getting the real thing. That's what GOAT does. They're the safest way to buy and sell authentic sneakers online, the largest marketplace in the whole friggin' world for authentic Yeezys, Jordans, over 600,000 sneaker listings, and they've made the whole process frictionless.
Ooh.
They only accept sellers with the best reputations. They verify that all the sneakers match their exact factory specifications. They ensure authenticity by inspecting every detail from the stitching to the coloring, to the size and weight. And yes, I assure you again, I checked with their marketing department. They do have someone who smells the sneakers. They do have someone who smells the sneakers to make sure that is authentic as well. Over 500,000 sneakers are on the platform and 10 million users. You're not going to find better prices anywhere. Find the perfect 100% authentic sneaker at GOAT, GOAT.com/solid. That is GOAT.com/solid. Plus, you'll be supporting our show if you go to that URL, if you want to check it out. But right now, go check it out. Before the sneakers you want are gone, go to GOAT.com/solid. On that note,
Dan, time, help. I need picks of the week.
so I feel free, Dan. I feel light on my feet because we've only got 2 games here. I've only got 2 games here to discuss.
Yeah, that doesn't mean there are only 2 games, though.
Let's start with Army Navy.
Okay.
12 p.m. on ESPN. It's Navy at a mark of 3-9 versus Army at a mark of 9-2. They play this one at Lincoln Financial Field down the street from me in Philadelphia. Army is a 7-point favorite. Before we go any further, here's what I'll say about this game.
Okay.
Go to solidrebel.com/pick'em. If you thought that the pick'em pool was over after 14 weeks of football, boy, do we got news for you. Our friends over
Last?
No, we got one more. One
See?
more good ride in the sun, Dan. Our friends over at Chalkline have put together a game specifically around the Army-Navy game. So not only just a point spread, but a couple other props
Nice.
that you can get in on. Just a handful to wet the whistle to keep you occupied and engaged before we get to bowl season, which we'll talk about here momentarily. But Army-Navy, another game for you. It's a historic matchup. Here's what I want to note here before I turn it over to you.
Mm-hmm.
The point spread is 7. Only 4 times since we started this podcast back in 2008 has the margin of victory, one way or the other, been greater than 7 points. And in fact, in each of the last 4 matchups, this has been a one-score game. Last year, it was 14-13. You might remember that game. So this is typically, at least recently, a pretty close game, and 7 points in that setting, even though Navy's been sort of garbage this year, feels like too many.
Got to throw those records out, Ty.
I believe you do, Dan. You got to throw them out. It's also sort of the ultimate de facto national championship game, isn't it?
Oh, my God. Every year. Absolutely.
Every year. So where do you come down in this game?
So Navy has lost 8 of 9? Does that sound right?
Sure.
They've lost. Their defense has been atrocious. They have been very, very bad defensively. And Army's been good. Army pushed Oklahoma early on to overtime. Jeff Monken, I thought, has done, I know, has done a really, really good job. I mean, to beat Colgate by double digits, Ty, is not something I'd take all that likely. That is dominant. He and the Knights have won, I believe, 7 in a row coming into this game. I think it's going to be one of those years that it's more than 7 points.
Okay.
I think Army is in a very, very good place on a neutral field. I looked this up. The weather should be, I think it's cold but clear.
Cold but clear in Philly. Yep.
So I don't know if that gives, if it were somewhat mucked up, I think that gives Navy a somewhat of an advantage because they can't throw it all, whereas Army can. They produce those chunk plays when it opens up. It's not often, but when they do throw it, it generally will succeed for something interesting. So I like Army here to win by a couple touchdowns. I have it 24-10 for the Knights.
Army is the better side. They took Oklahoma to the gun at the end of September. You'll remember that. We texted about that one. And as you properly mentioned, they even beat Colgate by 2 scores. So clearly they're a very serious team.
Obviously.
They've got the Armed Forces Bowl coming up, I believe, against Houston, I want to say in a couple weeks, which should be a fun matchup. I would never want to lay the points here in a rivalry like this.
All right.
I agree with everything you said, but give me Navy plus the points. I think Army wins, but I'll say 24-18 just to get inside the number.
Just to snuggle up into that line. Okay. We disagree.
And then, Dan, that's really the only major college football game that I have on my radar here.
Wrong. Ty, will you do me a favor? And I don't know if this is fully appropriate because it's not a regular season, nor is it a conference game. Will you drop that gentle, gyrating, girthy drum and fife?
I'm not used to doing this so soon after we talk about the first college game of the week.
Right. Yeah, no, we're right into it.
We talked about one game and already it's lightning round time here on the Verbal.
Yes. That's too many points. It is just too many points. North Dakota State is excellent. They have vanquished foe after foe after foe. The FARGODOME is a literal, probably not literal, but is the truest hornet's nest that we mentioned probably on this segment. And I can't see, and Ty, we like the Colgate Raiders.
I got to cut the music. I got to cut this music.
Please do. That's fine.
We got to talk seriously about this game.
I'm ready.
Otherwise, we run the risk of not being taken seriously when we get to Fargo.
I agree. We are going to be there. We are excited to watch the football in full earnest form.
Here is the lay of the land, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
NDSU, the Bison, are the
Hard
juggernaut of college football. They are going for their 7th title in 8 seasons. But now we got Colgate walking in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, all big and bad. They got the defense, allowing just 7 points, allowing just 219 yards per game. They've only allowed 9 touchdowns this year, Dan. That's like what Texas Tech gives up in one game. Mm-hmm. 9 touchdowns all year. A lot of times, when we're in this situation talking about a great defense, we compare them to what? Like the 85 Bears has been my go-to.
Right.
When we're talking about Colgate, Dan, we're talking actual Bears. They will literally kill you if you try to make a move on them.
Gets weird in Hamilton.
Their coach, Dan Hunt, I believe, is on the record saying that the school will not be held responsible for what his bearish defense does to opponents.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
So that's what NDSU is up against. As we said at the top, the line opened at 26.5. It went down to 21. Now it's up around 24, 25. The rumor that I'm hearing, because we're going to Fargo, I've been trying to keep my ear to the ground here on some of these betting forums just to get a lean. The word on the street is that this could be a pick 'em by kickoff.
Wow. 24, 25 to pick?
That's what a lot of sharp money coming in on Colgate. Yeah, the Raiders at 10-1 this regular season.
That's certainly something. Yeah, NDSU is on a different level talent-wise, and James Madison turned the ball over, I believe, 5 times, and that's Colgate forcing turnovers.
Ben DiNucci turning it over 5 times.
That's Ben DiNucci.
Right.
But yes, Colgate did need those turnovers, fully all of them, to get over the hump, and they did. They did what was necessary to win. That's what really good teams do. North Dakota State certainly is perhaps led more by their defense than their offense, but they still move the ball pretty damn well. So they're a complete team. Colgate had some struggles on offense with Brenneman at quarterback, but I think this defense is just too good to keep it close. I'm taking those points.
Dan, I think I agree with you. And you know what else? I think I'm going to lock it up.
Oh!
I think I'm going to lock it up. I've looked at North Dakota State's track record. And though they are far and away the best team, I think Jeff Sagarin gives them something like a 70% chance of winning the FCS title this year. Colgate, by the way, is like a 0.8% chance of winning the title.
That's okay.
But if you look at NDSU, when they've played against some teams with better defenses, teams that rank, in the top 30, let's say.
Opportunistic defense.
Yeah, of points per game. It seems like it's a bit of a different offense. Still a very good offense. They've won all their games, but it does not seem too far and away to me that Colgate could keep this one inside the number. So I think it's lower scoring. I'm going to say North Dakota State wins, but Colgate presses them. I'm going to say 28-21.
I have it 31-17.
Okay.
It's just a tough place to play. Going all the way to Fargo from Hamilton, it's a tough ask. So we agree. And I should also mention we have Maine Weber State. Shout out Ogden playing at Elevation. Maine's had a weird season.
Goofiest looking bear mascot.
Yeah.
You'll ever see.
I mean, yeah. It's for bears, yes. For general animals, I still ride with the Idaho State Bengal as being just so out there and wonderful.
Yeah. Right.
South Dakota State going to Kennesaw State. Kennesaw has existed for something like 4 years. and they were excellent this year. They lost week 1 to Georgia State barely, and they have not lost since, running the triple option. It's Brian Bohannon doing it. UC Davis and Eastern Washington, if you are looking for a weird shootout starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, Aggies going to that red field in Cheney.
Yeah, buddy.
There's going to be points in this game.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold because you're going to Eastern Washington, and there are going to be points. So I think there's entertainment to be had this Saturday.
So here's the deal. For those of you wondering, there will be a bowl pool. There will be a bowl confidence pool. Our friends at Chalkline helped us through the regular season where we did an against the spread pool. We had a decision to make. What did we want to do entering into the postseason, the bowl season? Every year since we started doing this show, it's been a confidence pool. And as you know from my fine work over the last couple years, I think I'm legendary in the space of confidence pools, Dan, if I don't say so myself.
Everybody's talking.
I have a number of theories, that's right, on how you should approach a confidence pool that I would again like to impart upon the Verballerhood. So we're going to do a confidence pool. It'll be through ESPN the way it's always been. Please do stay tuned to Solid Verbal Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook. We'll get it posted up there on the Reddit, on the subreddit.
Can we get a link, a URL? Can we do like solidverbal.com/conpool?
How about just confidence?
I like Conpool because it sounds like a terrible, terrible sequel to Con Air.
The Conpool. Conpool with Nicolas
When
Cage.
your rec pool gets taken. No, it's no good. Nope. Don't watch it.
Solidverbal.com/conpool will get you to the bowl confidence pool. Get in, get your buddies in. We will start going through games here in very short order. But first, we got to go to Fargo. First, we got to cover the hell out of this FCS quarterfinal matchup in the FARGODOME, Dan.
Yeah, buddy.
We got to do whatever the hell they do in Fargo and in the upper plains of this great land and report back for all y'all on Saturday night or Sunday.
You bringing hand warmers?
Man, I got to go to LL Bean after this show.
I am going to bring hand warmers. I have my wool socks. I have my boots. I think the weather is supposed to be pretty clear.
What kind of boots are we talking about here? Are you bringing snow boots? What are you taking?
Essentially, yeah. Just because they will keep not the. I guess maybe they are the heaviest duty boots I have. Yeah, I'm not taking any chances here, Ty. This is more about a comfort and warmth thing than it is, traction.
Because I have the boots that I use to shovel my driveway, but those are like the full heavy duty boots that go up.
These aren't rubber. These are not like rubber snow boots.
Okay.
But they are definitely heavier duty than my normal everyday shoes.
Okay.
I'm going to bring multiple pairs of long dans. I've got like a big heavy duty jacket that I'll be wearing. I'm going to be prepared. And I promise everybody listening this, you will get a shot of Ty and myself with short sleeves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Flexing. That's right. As podcasters with the screw loose.
That's right. That's what we do.
Absolutely happening.
That's what we do. Wearing
we will regret
perhaps a medium. Yep.
Yep. No, it'll be very tight.
Okay. All right.
That's all. Otherwise, any bowls quickly? I mean, we didn't really cover any of the bowl announcements.
Did I see that TCU and Cal are in a bowl? The Cheez-It Bowl?
Yeah. I like Cheez-Its.
The Cheez-Its are the best part of that game.
The Cheez-Its are a good part of it, but it's also kind of a slap in the face where you have these two teams. And I think Cal, certainly, these, different trajectories. Cal on the uptick with a really good defense, TCU with a disastrous offensive season, so many injuries all over the place. But that weird, it almost feels like a joke. Like we're going to the whatever Cheez-It Bowl. And it's the Cheez-It Bowl. It is the full on, Oregon's going to the Red Box Bowl. I don't know the last time you rented a DVD, Ty. I don't know if Mama H picks up a Red Box.
Where is Red Box getting that kind of coin?
I don't think it costs all that much, Ty. I don't think it costs a ton. So the playoff is the 29th. I believe it starts at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, that's right.
So that's the Cotton Bowl is first and then the Orange Bowl. Other games that are at least, you used this term earlier and I just like saying whet, that are whetting my whistle.
Yeah.
Other than the Cheez-It Bowl, obviously. Auburn-Purdue could be Jeff Brom looking at his future team.
Okay.
So there's that. The Sun Bowl, just because Pitt's returned to the place where they lost a bowl game 3-0.
Yep.
to Oregon State. 2008 or 2009, something like that. Mizzou, Oklahoma State could have a lot of points in the Liberty Bowl.
Okay.
Get in the zone, Auto Zone. LSU, UCF, a de facto national championship for UCF. Did you see what UCF's AD called the college football playoff? Called it a college football invitational.
Okay.
Which
I like that. That's good.
Washington, Ohio State in the Rose, I think is interesting. Otherwise, Iowa State, Washington State, Wazoo could be in the Alamo. It's in a dome. Wazoo in that offense. Gardner Minshew is a great story. I like that it's in a dome. There's not a ton. I'm going to watch all of these. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But this is a kind of like the Pinstripe Bowl is Miami, Wisconsin. And I don't like if you live in New York and you're a Miami or Wisconsin fan, I would still HD is great.
Okay.
So listen, watch the bowls. It's going to be we're so obnoxious. It's going to be a fun bowl season. It always is. But I'm not looking forward to Kentucky, Penn State. I'm just not.
Nope.
Sorry.
Nope.
Playoffs should be fun. That's good.
We've got the Makers Wanted Bahamas Bowl.
We don't have our gifts yet, do we?
No.
The gift list will be reviewed once it comes out.
The Jared Birmingham Bowl.
Is that he went to Jared?
I'm assuming?
Jewelry
Unless
company?
It's just a dude named Jared. I'm not 100% sure. We'll research all this stuff.
Serve Pro First Responder Bowl.
Okay.
Walk-Ons Independent. Is Walk-Ons a sports bar?
I think Walk-Ons is a sports bar. I think we talked about them before.
You got Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl. We've got your DXL Frisco Cherabundi.
Yeah.
Boca Raton Bowl. Your Raycom, your Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl, which, by the way, Ty, I know we're about to sign off. That bowl game screws whoever ends up. Because you think to yourself, oh, Vegas, whatever, warm, fun, cool way to end the season. You lose the final recruiting weekend. Herm Edwards trying to put together that first class early signing period is 3 days after this, and it's on a Saturday. Sorry, ASU and Fresno State. Really hope you didn't want that recruiting weekend, perhaps the most important one of the season. So
all right.
Those are the two teams screwed there. That's all.
All right. Well, fun show. Again, we're going to Fargo.
Yeah.
If you are in the greater Fargo area, the greater Minneapolis area.
Twin Cities.
Yeah, give us a holler. solidverbal@gmail.com. Let us know if you're going to be around. Look us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the subreddit. Let us know. We'll let you know because we're going to be out and about in the town. Looking to talk to some people, hang out, see what's good up in that part of the world. And as Dan mentioned, trying to meet up with some verballers as well.
Yeah, I looked up, just a cursory lookup because this is who I am, of restaurants because I know nothing about Twin City food. And damn, do they do food correctly in Minnesota? Just picture-wise. If the pictures are half as good as the food tastes, my goodness, Ty, I'm excited to eat in Minneapolis or St. Paul. And Fargo, for that matter.
And Fargo. Okay, well, Daniel, I will, I guess, see you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow night. We got early and out Friday morning.
All right, well, for that guy over there in New York City, for myself, Ty Hildenbrand over here, for now, in Eastern Pennsylvania, thanks for listening to the show. We'll catch you all in a few days. Enjoy the rest of your week. All of your week. And in the meantime, until you hear from us next, stay solid.
Peace.